Are you looking to build an unstoppable cloud architect career? If so, this video is for you. Hi, my name is Michael Gibbs, and I'm the founder and CEO of Go Cloud Architects, and we're an organization dedicated towards building high-performance cloud computing careers. In today's video, we're going to talk about your cloud computing career development plan. See, in cloud computing, and in general in architecture, you have two career path options, and it's the management versus the technical career path. And both are excellent, and both are options, but you have to train for the option you want in order to be able to get the job you want. So in this video, we're going to talk about optimizing your cloud computing career options, and we're going to talk about building your tech career development plans. And see, there's a pathway for architecture and there's a pathway for leadership. And as a cloud architect, you could migrate fairly easily to either one. Here's the reason why. A cloud architect is a cross between a business executive and an engineer, like a cloud engineer. So business executive, cloud engineer, combined and married together. And because of that, you have the opportunity to learn the leadership style and go down the leadership path, or you can get very technical. And we'll talk about how to do both. Let's first begin with the tech pathway. And realistically speaking, the tech pathway is to go from cloud architect to senior cloud architect to principal cloud architect to distinguished cloud architect. And we're going to talk about what you would typically do in these roles and how to train to get there. And when we're done that, we're going to talk about how you move into management or leadership positions. And we're going to tell you what you need to learn to get there. So this will be your tech career development path and your tech career leadership program all rolled into one in this video. So what are we really going to be talking about? Let's begin with the cloud architect career path. The first type of cloud architect we're going to talk about is the cloud architect. And this is sort of your entry-level cloud architect position. And as I mentioned, it's a cross between business work and technical work. And why do I say that? See, an architect is not like an engineer. An engineer focuses deeply on a small area and they get into extreme depth and they are strong at it. They're very solid at it. But they focus on how do you build something, the configuration of it. But as an architect, it's much more of a position where you meet with clients. So even at the introductory level as a cloud architect, you're going to meet with a client, you're going to ask their business, legal, technical requirements, any regulatory challenges they have, and from there you're going to design a technology solution that's going to help solve the customer's problems and or get them to meet their goals. That's the role of a cloud architect. Now, as you move up the ranks, your depth of knowledge is going to need to increase, but also your business communication skills, which we'll talk about next, are going to increase. Now, going from an architect to a senior cloud architect is, generally speaking, much deeper technical knowledge and much deeper knowledge of cloud computing. So if you want to go from architect to senior architect, just get better. Really build that technical competency, build that depth of knowledge, narrow your focus to something that you can master and master it. And if you want to go from cloud architect to senior cloud architect, that's what you should do. But what if you have bigger aspirations? What if you want to, say, take positions in cloud architecture that they are the equivalent of management, but you'd still like to be on the technical side? Well, that's where we start talking about these principal cloud architect roles and these distinguished cloud architect roles. Let's begin with the principal cloud architect role, which is typically speaking the next step up from the senior cloud architect role. And in the principal cloud architect role, which is a role that I've had as a principal architect for many, many years, it becomes more of a hybrid business and technology position, but it typically has more of a focus. When you get to that principal level, your customer base may change a little bit. See, your customer base may be cloud architects in your organization, sales teams in your organization, but also customers. So this is really a leadership position. In fact, in many organizations, a principal cloud architect and a manager or senior manager are at parity. They're at an equal level. So we're really talking about building this up. So going from a senior cloud architect to principal cloud architect is going to take the following. Typically speaking, it forces you to become a subject matter expert in a simple area. Cloud databases, for example, cloud security, cloud networking. And you're going to build some real depth of knowledge here. You're going to create some content around it. You're going to have a body of work that you've created that's going to be in your area of expertise. And you're going to be consulting to the cloud architects, cloud engineers, sales teams, business teams, all across your organization. This is a highly strategic position. And getting there is a concept of building your technical knowledge, but also building your leadership skills, specifically your soft skills like your emotional intelligence, your empathy, getting your presentation skills really spot on, your writing skills, writing for readability and content. This is where you're really going in that principal cloud architect role, and this is a fantastic role. I can tell you I've enjoyed it thoroughly. Now, if you want to move from there to the next logical step, which is a distinguished cloud architect, this is really where you've got to do the following things. This is where you've got to niche down even more to blow up. And what I mean by that is, as a distinguished architect, you're an industry thought leader. You're an expert on something, and your expertise is so valuable that people from all over the world are going to come reaching out to you to hear what you say. So what do I mean by becoming a subject matter expert and niching down? I'll take me, for example. 25 years ago, I used to practice internal medicine as a nurse practitioner, and then I moved into tech. So let's say I was a principal cloud architect in tech, and I decided to start focusing on a vertical industry like healthcare. So at that point, that's when you're dealing with these extreme subject matter experts. You're dealing with someone that's got at least as deep of a technical knowledge as a principal cloud architect, but now they've got a specialty, maybe an industry vertical. Maybe you become an expert, for example, on cloud security for banking, or you become a cloud high-performance networking expert for the service provider industry. Whatever the case may be, this is where you're combining a lot of leadership skills, a lot of business skills, a lot of industry expertise, and deep cloud skills. So in order to do this, you're going to basically spend 50% of your time staying technically competent, focusing on the technology expertise area of yours, speaking at conferences, going to conferences, reading the newest white papers, really staying completely informed. But you're going to also spend 50% of your time outside of this environment. You're going to be focused on learning what's going on in the industry. You're going to be really honing in on your presentation skills. In this role, you're going to be getting in front of customers constantly. You're going to be speaking to C-level executives constantly. In this world, you need to know exactly what the CEO cares about, what the CIO cares about, what the CTO cares about, what the CFO cares about, and you're going to have to be relevant to all of them, and you're going to be constantly communicating with them. And this position, like I said, is an equivalent typically of a director level position, and because it's a hybrid between business and engineering, 50% of your time should be focused on the technology, and 50% of the time should be focused on your leadership and management skills. That's how you go from principal cloud architect to distinguished cloud architect. Now let's talk about the management pathway. Since I had mentioned previously, you have the option to go from right up the technical chain or go up the leadership plane. So now let's discuss the tech career path for leadership, or how you transition from a cloud architect to a leadership position. And this is a very different tech career development program. To move into your leadership, you still need to stay technically relevant because you're going to be leading teams of cloud architects, for example. So in this environment, you still need to spend approximately 20% of your training time focusing on your craft, staying relevant in the cloud computing environment. So if you're spending 20% of your time focusing on staying relevant, where do you spend the other 80% of your time? And this is what your tech career development program should look like for a leader, someone that's moving into leadership. If 20% of your time is going to tech, the 80% of time is going to go to these leadership things. And what are these leadership things? First, writing skills. As a leader, you must be able to write for executives. And as a leader, you will be writing for executives constantly. You need to be able to write for the CEO, the CFO, the CTO, or any of these C-level executives because they're going to be your customers and you're going to be writing to them. At this point, you're going to also have to become an expert on your presentation skills. And they're going to be both customer-facing presentation skills to C-level executives, but also non-C-level executives, and you need to know how to communicate to both. You're also going to be presenting to your leadership inside of your organization. You're going to be presenting to your teams, and you're going to be presenting across the organization. So your presentation skills to move up into leadership, they need to be solid, so work on them. At this level, your business acumen needs to come up as well. You need to be able to read a financial statement and understand top-line revenue versus net income, operating income, and all these other metrics. You need to be able to look at the expected value of an investment and determine if it's a good investment. You need to be able to do ROI modeling on technology investments so that you can work with your clients and help build business cases, but also be able to understand what's in the best interest of your client. At this level, when you're moving into the leadership side, you have to learn how to read people. You have to understand their body language, their tone of voice, and what it means. And when you're dealing with people and you're managing people and you're leading people, you have to work on your soft skills. And the most critical soft skill is probably empathy. This is where you need to be an expert at seeing things from another's perspective, because that way you'll be better able to communicate with them, but also you'll be able to understand other people's positions. Because if you understand their positions and you can support their positions, you might feel the same way they do, and it will change the way you have your discussions. This is where you focus on your executive presence. For people that don't know what I mean, I'm sure all of you have been in an environment where someone quietly walks in the room and they haven't said anything, but you instantly feel them. You know they're there, and for some reason you know they're in charge without a single word that's been sent, and that's executive presence. And as a leader, you're going to have to develop that. As a leader, you're going to have to learn how to resolve conflict. No matter how good you hire, at some point conflict in your team is going to be inevitable, and you're going to have to learn how to resolve that conflict. You're going to have to deal with managing difficult conversations. When you have an employee, for example, that's not necessarily performing up to snuff, and you need to work with that employee, you're going to have to be able to have difficult conversations, and you need to do them well. So you can't basically take someone, have a conversation, and destroy the relationship as a leader. That will destroy your leadership, it will destroy your team, and effectively you will be losing your job. And one other thing you need to focus on as a leader is negotiation. It could be negotiation in sales, or it could be negotiating with your team or other members of your organization. So these are things that are absolutely critical when you move into leadership. So realistically speaking, there are many options for your cloud architect career path. Management versus a technical career path. And in this video, we talked about how you boost your technical career path and the things to do by specialization and developing depth of knowledge and the business acumen, things that go with it. And we also talked about how to go from being a cloud architect to a leadership role and all the things you need to do and how to get there. Let me tell you about some free things that we do for the cloud architect community. Every Monday and every Thursday, we have a free How to Get Your First Cloud Architect Job webinar. On these How to Get Your First Cloud Architect webinars, we teach you what you need to do to get your first cloud architect job. We teach you how to build the optimal resume. We teach you what hiring managers desire. We teach you how to build a portfolio to make your resume look better. We teach you how to get technical competency, and we teach you what employers desire. We do this free on every Monday and Thursday. Almost every Tuesday, we have a Cloud Architect Experience webinar. And on this webinar, we teach you how to get industry-relevant cloud architect experience so you can get hired. Meaning, how do you build the technical competency to impress employers enough so they can hire you? We typically do that on most Tuesdays. Almost every Wednesday, we have a free YouTube Live where you can come and bring us any kind of cloud architect question you want about your career development, and we'll answer them real time live. We don't do them every Wednesday, but we do them most Wednesdays. So please subscribe to the channel and hit the bell, and you'll be notified of the next time we do a live stream. And of course, if you're working on certifications, we do everything we can to make these certifications free for you. So if you're working for the AWS Certified Solution Architect Associate, we have a completely free AWS Certified Solution Architect Associate e-course. I'll drop the link in the description below. And we have a completely free AWS Certified Solution Architect Associate ebook. Again, I'll drop the link in the description below. If you have any questions about your cloud architect career, or you would like us to make a YouTube video, send an email request to AskCloudMike. When you send that email, we'll evaluate your email, and if we can, we will try to produce a YouTube video on that in the next few weeks to answer your questions. We can't always do it because sometimes we don't have the staff to answer all the questions we get, but we love to answer your questions, and we love to get closer to the cloud architect community. So please send us an email at AskCloudMike if you'd like us to cover any kind of content. Thank you for the opportunity to work with you today and speak to you via this presentation, and I look forward to seeing you in another video very soon.